Hello, my friends. The Russians continue to intensively shell Ukrainian territory, and unfortunately, the air defense systems are insufficient, so the attacks didn't stop. And yesterday there were further strikes on Zaporizhzhia, and there were also strikes on Kramatorsk. Moreover, it's known that Russian aircraft are launching guided bombs towards the Kharkiv and Sumy regions, so the situation is complex, with occupiers showing significant activity here. For now, it's only shelling, but the possibility of offensive actions in this direction cannot be ruled out. So today, many are already talking about the Russians possibly attacking Kharkiv, and this was stated by Yermak.
We know that Putin is preparing a new wave of mobilization, and we believe that new Russian counteroffensive operations may begin in late May or early June. Of course, we must be ready for this, the publication quotes Yermak. The head of the office of the president stressed that Ukraine needs more Patriot anti-aircraft missile systems to protect the front line, where the Russians are causing enormous damage and, as some fear, upsetting the military balance by using guided aerial bombs, KABs. These 1.5-ton bombs are a modification of the old Soviet weapon and are delivered by fighters at a distance of about 70 kilometers from the target, and then guided by the guidance system, using the opening wings to glide towards the target. Used in the recent Russian offensive in the Donetsk region, they wreaked havoc on the defenses of Avdiivka, a city in eastern Ukraine that came under Russian control last month.
Today, urgent decisions need to be made, but unfortunately, the United States is procrastinating. However, their powerful support is crucial. And now let's turn to the situation on the front line. And it seems that the Russians are lacking success. Therefore, they have begun to claim the capture of settlements that were already practically under their control. For example, in the Avdiivka direction, they claimed to have taken control of the village of Vadiane, which has long been under occupation, and only a part of the street was in the gray zone. Overall, the Russians are celebrating another victory, once again showing the weakness of the world's Second Army. Moreover, they have already begun to admit that their losses cannot be compared with the territory captured.
Наступающая сторона даже по старым канонам, она несет потери там в 3 раза больше. А в нынешней войне, я думаю, этот коэффициент куда хуже. Я думаю, что вообще, когда мы узнаем наши безвозвратные потери, у многих волосы дыбом встанут. На эту тему нельзя сегодня говорить, размышлять там, но это волосы дыбом станут у всех.
At the same time, significant activity in this direction has resumed today. After yesterday's lull, they began storming Berdychi and are breaking through to Umanske and now to Yasnobrodivka. So these were expected attacks because the Russians will try to take the stretch of the front to the Kharkivsky reservoir anyway. They have already conducted 18 attacks in a day, but haven't achieved success. So we are waiting to see how events will unfold further. Similarly, attacks are moving southward towards Peromaiske, while in Nevelske, fighting has temporarily ceased, with only shelling being reported. So there are changes in the direction of Mariinka today. The occupiers are once again attempting to break through to Heorhiivka and Kostiantynivka, with several groups moving across the fields. Battles are also underway for Vasylivka. So today it became known that the Russians were able to advance approximately 3.5 kilometers across the fields. Unfortunately, a very large stretch of the front has come under their control here. And it's evident that attacks on Kostiantynivka have become more frequent because they are now closer to the village. Therefore, they are attempting to break through. So this situation is very complex, and 10 attacks have been recorded in a day, but the battles continue. The Ukrainian forces are doing everything possible to maintain defense. But it's evident that the Russians' activity is very high. So it feels like they are not preparing for a summer offensive, and it has already begun right now. And they are trying to capture as much territory as possible before any events unfold. In the direction of Vuhledar, the occupiers didn't succeed in the area of Velika Novosylka. There, the Ukrainian forces repelled all attacks, and now occupiers are only storming Starmayorsk. In other areas, shelling continues and the front line remains unchanged. In the direction of Zaporizhzhia, no new attacks have been recorded. So the Russians are conducting a minimal number of shelling, and evidently activity has decreased here. So we are still waiting to see how events will unfold further. In the direction of Kherson, according to the official statement of the General Staff, the Russians conducted 14 attacks in a day. And the occupiers also confirm that they are once again storming the village of Krinky.
Today, our troops cleaned up the village of Krinky 5 times. Unsuccessfully. Air, drones and artillery behind the enemy. Assault groups from the 328th, 337th, 345th Airborne Assault Divisions, as well as from other military units of the 104th Airborne Division, took part in the mopping up operations. You can imagine what losses are now in the 328th Airborne Assault Regiment of the 104th Airborne Assault Division from the mopping up operations on Teplinskoy, in the village of Krinky, that the commander of the 104th Airborne Assault Division is forced to reinforce the 328th Airborne Assault Regiment with assault groups from other units of his division.
Now let's turn to the Bakhmut direction. So here, the occupiers conducted 10 attacks, and today are attempting to break through in the areas of Heorhiivka, Andriivka and Ivanivka. So they haven't achieved any significant success in the past day. And in the area of Chasiv Yar, as a result of yesterday's attacks, the occupiers also didn't succeed and retreated to their former positions, despite their attempts to advance towards the outskirts of the city. Therefore, the front line remains unchanged for the day. In the Siversk direction, the occupiers have once again ceased all attacks, and today only shelling is being reported. So yesterday's assaults didn't yield them any success, and the front line remains unchanged. In the direction of Kreminna, the occupiers conducted 2 attacks on the village of Terny. However, near Yampolivka, they also didn't achieve any success. All offensive actions there have ceased, with only shelling being reported. So the Ukrainian Armed Forces successfully repel all attacks, and the front line remains unchanged. In the area of Svatove, there is complete silence. Attempts to advance towards Myasuzharivka have been unsuccessful, and now the occupiers have reverted to entrenched defense. And the same situation prevails in the area of Kupiansk. Only shelling continues without any offensive actions, and the front line remains unchanged. Meanwhile, the United States is expected to put forward a resolution in the UN Security Council at the beginning of the next week, urging against the placement of nuclear weapons in space, awaiting Russia's support.
And if you don't mind, I do have some notes. I want to make sure that I get this right. But I think last month, Ambassador Thomas Greenfield announced that the United States and Japan would put forward a Security Council resolution calling on all countries not to deploy nuclear weapons in space or to develop nuclear weapons specifically designed to be placed in orbit around the Earth. And we will be bringing this resolution to a vote in New York early next week. Now, the vote should be straightforward. The Outer Space Treaty, which has been signed by more than 130 countries, including Russia, the PRC, and of course the United States, prohibits the deployment of, quote, nuclear weapons or other kinds of weapons of mass destruction, end quote, in orbit, period. Now, we have heard President Putin say that Russia has no intention of deploying nuclear weapons in space. So we look forward to Russia voting in favor of this resolution. There should be no reason why not to. And if they do, then I think that should open up some really legitimate questions to Mr. Putin about what his intentions really are.
SV, you have the last question. Admiral, could you clarify on the...
And that's all from me. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.